Good afternoon. My name is Maria Malat, student ID S333178. Today I will give a brief introduction about our group work, Child Safeguarding UK. We will look at historical development, current challenge, and the essential knowledge required for professionals to work in this field. Our discussion will address legislative progress and lessons learned from the past care reviews. We will also review the statistics from 2024-2025, critically evaluate profession decision making, and consider the difficulty introduced to ethical and cultural difference. Finally, we will reflect on preventing an ecological approach to safeguarding, as well as the importance of research literacy and ongoing professional development. Safeguarding is not an easy process. It required professionals to maintain accountability, engage in reflective practice, and prioritize prevention. Thank you.
My name is Juliet, and our group are doing child safeguarding. I'm doing slide 3. Slide 3 talks about the landmark and failure and reforms. It highlighted the Maria Coleman death, the Victoria Cambry and Children Act 1989. These two major cases shape modern safeguarding. The death of Maria in 1973 highlight failure in the communication of agency. The death between Victoria Cambry in 2000 exposed the serious systematic breakdowns. The alarming inquiry led to a stronger interagency cooperation under the Children Act 2004. The Children Act 1989 had already introduced the principles of paramount meeting in child's welfare must always be first. These reforms show that safeguarding policies often develop in response of tragedy. And I want to give you a brief about the historical foundation. We highlighted during the Victorian era of child labor, and child were regarded primarily as contributors of economic and the development of safeguarding emerge in response of these crises. The historical foundation of child safeguarding is built on learning from our past mistakes. Safeguarding has not always existed in this form. During the Victoria era, children are often regarded as economic commodities rather than individuals with rights. As Patron 2014 explained, child protection systems are socially constructed, shaped by political and risk disclosure. This highlights that safeguarding development gradually through social changes and publicly concern rather than being designed as a complete system from the outset.
My name is G. Kareem Bonaski-Zaharia, and in this presentation I'll be discussing statistics, risk, decision-making, and emerging issues in child safeguarding in the UK. Over 402,000 children are recognized as needing support, reflecting a significant level of vulnerability. These situations are commonly linked to neglect, domestic abuse, poverty, or parental mental health difficulties. There were also over 230,000 Section 47 inquiries. Under Section 47 of the Children Act 1989, local authorities must investigate when they have evidence or reasonable cause to suspect that a child is suffering or is likely to suffer significant harm. However, only around 49,000 children were placed on child protection plans. This shows that not every investigation results in formal protection, and professionals must carefully assess risk and apply threshold criteria before making decisions. As Monroe 2011 states, professional judgment is central to effective safeguarding practice. Although 338 serious incident reports may appear small in comparison, each one represents serious harm and requires formal review. Brandon 2020 highlights that recurring incidents place significant pressure on the safeguarding system. Overall, the data suggests that services are operating under considerable strain, requiring professionals to balance effective risk management with a child-centered approach. In relation to risk and decision-making, safeguarding is becoming increasingly complex and less visible. The NSPCC 2023 identifies a rise in cumulative neglect, where harm develops gradually over time rather than through a single incident. This makes early identification more challenging, as minor concerns may escalate into significant harm if they are not addressed. There is also growing concern regarding online exploitation and digital abuse. Children are exposed to risks through social media, gaming platforms, and online grooming, meaning safeguarding responsibilities now extend beyond the physical home environment into digital spaces. Overall, as safeguarding challenges become more complex and less visible, professionals must combine evidence, professional judgment, and effective multi-agency collaboration to identify risk early and prevent harm before it becomes irreversible.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vlada, and today I'm going to talk about ethical decision making and confidentiality in safeguarding and why the child must always come first. Safeguarding is not always easy. Professionals often face difficult choices. For example, we may need to protect a child while also respecting the family's wishes. We may want to keep information safe, private, but at the same time we may need to share it to keep a child safe. We might also need to respect cultural traditions while making sure that no harm is taking place. These situations can feel uncomfortable. However, the law is clear. A child's safety is the most important priority. Under Section 16C of the Children Act 2004, local authorities must report cases where a child has been seriously harmed or has died within 5 working days. This shows that protecting children is a legal duty. If a child is at risk of serious harm, professionals must share the information. Keeping information private is less important than keeping the child safe. The United Nations Convention of the Rights of a Child, Article 3, says that the child's best interest must always be a main consideration. This means every decision should focus on what is the safest and what is the best for child, not what is the easiest or the most comfortable for adults. And it's also important for professionals to reflect their feelings and experiences. Sometimes our personal background can affect how we see the situation. Supervision helps us think clearly, manage our emotions, and make fair decisions. I would also like to talk about culture in safeguarding. In the UK is a diverse country with many cultures and many traditions. It is important to respect the diversity, but in the same time, the culture must never be used as a reason to allow harm. Some practices, such as female genital mutilation, forced marriages, and honor-based abuse, are forbidden or illegal in the UK. These are forms of abuse and must always be treated as a safeguarding concerns. Professionals must avoid two mistakes. The first one is acting too quickly because of the stereotypes, and we can judge sometimes, we can be biased, and these can lead to unfair treatment. The second is opposite, is not acting because we are worried about appearing culturally insensitive, and this can leave a child in a danger. We must respect the culture, but we must always protect the children first. Children's rights and safety are more important than a tradition. In conclusion of my two slides, I would like to say that safeguarding requires clear thinking, knowledge of the law, and self-awareness. It requires us to be brave enough to share information when needed, and always to put the child's welfare and at the center of every decision.
And my name is Fabricio Lu Silva, and according Child Safeguarding in the UK, I'm going to talk about three topics: statistical landscape 2024-2025, ecological and preventive safeguarding, and professional responsibilities. In addition, 338 serious incident notifications were submitted, reflecting a case involving several armed or critical safeguarding failure. During the same period, 2003,000 selections, 45 investigations were undertaken. These inquiries are initially when there is some case to suspect that a child is suffering or is at a risk of suffering. Statistical landscape 2024-2025. The most recent data for 2024-2025 highlights the significant scale of child safeguarding needs. A total of 402,000 children were identified as requiring some form of assistance or interviewing for child social care service. Early support programs, including Sure Start, demonstrative how preventive and family-centered intervention can reduce the likelihood of children being removed from their homes. Ecological and preventive safeguarding. Each year, domestic abuse leads to about 48,000 referrals of babies to children to social services. Close to 2,000 infants subsequently enter the care system. Professional responsibility, reflective supervision, multi-agency collaboration, research literacy. Professionals must critically interpret data and remain child-focused.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Malat, and I'm here to give you a brief conclusion about our group work, Child Safeguarding UK. This presentation critically evaluates child safeguarding in the United Kingdom. Protecting child in UK is mandatory, and things have changed a lot over the years. But despite all the change, there are still plenty of problems. It is mostly politics and social pressures instigate this change. Unfortunately, it is often big cries that prompt change, rather than people planning ahead. You might remember cases like Maria Colwell and Victoria Climbing, which were all over the news at that time. These cases are an example how bad the things were, and they lead to new laws like the Children Act 2004. Right now, data shows an increasing percentage of children require assistance. In 2025, more than 4,000 children need support, and over 2,300 investigations were conducted to assess potential risk of harm. These investigations, called Section 47, are significant investigations that put a lot of strain and resource. The problem is the way things are managed can make it very difficult for professionals to do their jobs. They are often more focused on numbers and checking boxes than on building relationships between children and family. Additional significant structural concerns like poverty and domestic abuse persist unabated. These issues mean that safeguarding is frequently reactive than proactive. To finalize our work group, we will do a small discussion about: do you think the safeguarding system focuses on responding to harm after it happens or preventing it earlier? Wait for our answers. Thank you.
Hello. In conclusion of our teamwork, we concluded that the UK's service system is often reactive because many important reforms happened after a lot of serious child death.
Although early intervention programs exist, rising Section 47 inquiries suggest that services are under pressure.
And funding limits, short staff do make support difficult.
And issue like poverty and domestic abuse with the home contribute for a lot to the safeguarding.
So in conclusion, and following all our work, we can see that they need to invest more money in early family support and community service. Thank you.